Juliet.
Aerosuite 234 ready to taxi.
Aerosuite 234 taxi via Foxtrot Alpha Kilo. Connection taxi via Foxtrot Alpha hold short Kilo.
Taxi Foxtrot Alpha hold short Kilo Aerosuite 234.
Swiss 17 Golf Papa, good evening, holding short, taxi Echo, request taxi to gate.
Swiss 17 Golf Papa, good evening, taxi via Echo November to gate Alpha 48.
Taxi via Echo November to Alpha 48, Swiss 17 Golf Papa.
Scandinavian 482. Stand by short, call you back.
Charlie ready for taxi.
Olympic 892, contact tower 118.10.
118.10, Olympic 892, thank you very much, bye bye.
Lufthansa 5 Mike Alpha, contact tower 118.10.
Oh, good evening, friends, followers, channel members. Nick, I am not your friend. Only joking, Nick Burrows. Oh, okay, so little bit of background. I wanted to start this Q&A session much earlier than I have done. Sadly, I had a huge problem with my model matching, which rendered the simulator looking rather bland and useless. Thankfully, we've got it sorted, and it's all because I thought, hey, I know what would be a great idea if we installed the AIG A320 models. Well, with that came a whole host of issues, but never mind. We are here, finally, and we have airlines. Reinstalling VPilot seems to have done the trick. So I'm just going to get off. I'm just going to get off the ATC for a moment. There we go, because it's quite busy here in Zurich tonight. Obviously, this isn't live time. It's not even live weather. The live weather here in Zurich is actually pretty rubbish, so you wouldn't have been able to see anything. But I thought we'd do a nice evening, chilled out, relaxing Q&A session, because I get asked obviously so many questions during the live streams, and I always feel guilty that I'm not able to answer all of them, and several of them, of course, they get asked right at the start of the stream or halfway through the setup and the takeoff, and of course I just missed I just missed those. So yeah, thought we'd do about an hour stream this evening to get through any questions you guys may have had regarding obviously the A320, real ops flying, VATSIM, Microsoft Flight Simulator itself. So so yeah, basically that's our plan this evening. We are, as I said a few moments ago, we are in Zurich live ATC. The area is lit up with ATC at the moment, and you can see all the aircraft around are being imported. They are from VATSIM, so lovely to see. We can obviously see we've got one or two airliners there. I haven't got the correct models installed. No idea who's following the Airbus. I can bring that map up and probably find that out. But yeah, so good evening everybody. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Dr. Magic says Zurich, another airport that you get lost at. Good evening Liam, Eric, Dark Fury. Yep, got it working finally. Chumi, get out of the A350. And Robloxia's Gaming, Land O'Lakes, VPath, Christopher Fuller. This is the place to ask, my friend. And Nick, yeah, good evening, mate. Thank you very much for your help earlier on our Discord. So John H, yeah, if you've got questions, now is the perfect time. Brian Dyer, hello to you, Cardinal22 as well. And really, you're here with us as well. Hello to T64 and John Plasota. We are on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube this evening. Right, so Flight Simulator 101, if you have a question, shoot. How do you fuel your fly-by-wire plane since they disabled the toolbar for refueling? Oh, right, okay. I've seen a few people asking this question. That is now done in the FlyPad. So I'm cold and dark here in the setup. So FlyPad will get that turned on. And from here you then have to go to, oh, where is it? There we go. So the dispatch page, the fuel page, and you can then either use the slider to load your fuel, or if you know exactly how much fuel you want, say you just want 6 tons, you enter that in and set it to either instant, fast or real time, and then we can get the refueling done that way. So there we go. That's how you now load your fuel in. John H. When I've planned my route, say from Heathrow to Newcastle, I've used SimBrief and entered the whole route into the simulator. When I'm taking off, I'm not sure what to do. I'm lost on what to set. All right, John. So that sounds like there's quite a lot of topics to to get through just there. So what I would recommend, John, it's not something that I can probably cover very quickly, because what you need to learn basically is the entire basics of the Airbus, which, if you're flying the fly-by-wire version, is really quite realistic in terms of its setup. You need to load your flight plan in, and John, first of all, it would depend on whether you're using the fly-by-wire mod or whether you're using the default A320. If you're using the fly-by-wire mod, then entering the flight plan you won't need to do, certainly not manually, because you can just uplink everything from SimBrief. So what I recommend, John, is if you practice, if you check out my channel and find the Real World Procedures tutorial series playlist, that will get you up and flying and take on a nice flight from Gatwick to Faro, I think it is, and it'll get you there throughout a series of, I think, 8 or 9 different tutorial videos, all split up one by one. So give yourself 2 or 3 hours, and you can go through that flight alongside me in real time. VNAV Path, hello. Christian Starmer, good evening to you. Papa Crash, you forgot which version of the A320 you have from Fly-by-Wire. Would like the dev version for the new McDo feature. How do you check, please? Well, the easiest way to check which version you've got, whether you've got the stable or the dev, is to actually launch the fly-by-wire installer. If you launch the fly-by-wire installer, it will tell you what is installed and what isn't. If, on the other hand, you haven't got the fly-by-wire installer installed and you've downloaded it manually, so to speak, then if you go to your community folder, go to your community folder and find the fly-by-wire aircraft. If it has this folder here, McDo server, it's either going to be the dev or the experimental build. If it doesn't have this folder, then you are on the stable build. Barry, good evening to you. Barry Shackleton. Liam, one of the yellow ones is an Edelweiss. Oh no, don't have that one installed. Ferran Simo, hey mate, hope you're well. John H, not sure what to activate and at what time. Do you fly manual until the first fix or just hit LNAV? Right, John, you're a Boeing boy, aren't you? LNAV? What's LNAV? We don't have that in the Airbus, or we do, but it's not called AirNav. LNAV, it's just called NAV. It's called managed mode in the Airbus. So, John, yeah, if you're coming across from Airbus, I would absolutely coming across from Boeing. Sorry, I would absolutely recommend that you check out the full world procedures, real world procedures tutorial playlist. That will get you going. Lando X, which SimBrief profile am I using? I'm actually now using one created by the Fly-by-Wire guys, because as you'll have seen from the live streams that I do, it matches up perfectly. All the weights are absolutely spot on. There's no reason not to use it, really. It's great. You can download that, I think, from Fly-by-Wire's website. Nice and easy to install. Anyone that's got VATSIM on, what's this big thing here? Which airline's that? I've not got that one installed clearly. So always interesting to see. Loving the scenery here as well. We've got Rex's scenery pack in. I forgot what that's called. The AccuSeasons pack, which is why all the trees are looking dead. Nice and realistic there. Roblox, have I ever visited Estonia in the flight sim? Do you know? I'm not sure I have. Will 8900, hope you're well. Carl B, good evening. Are there any resources you'd recommend for getting started with VATSIM and communications in general? I would personally do exactly what I am doing right here, right now. Park yourself up at a nice busy aircraft and tune to the various different frequencies. Clearance delivery, ground, tower, etc. So if you can find an airport that's got all those places staffed, you can just take your pick and listen. And of course follow our live streams, and you will soon pick that up. Dr. Magic, can I say a little bit about what needs to go on the RadNav page? Sure, certainly can. So if we just come down here, so the RadNav page is basically, if you're more familiar with, say, GA aircraft, the RadNav page is just a updated version of tuning your VOR frequencies and your ILS frequencies. So obviously VOR1, VOR2. If you are wanting to track a VOR, you need to put in the course you want to track. This is one thing the Airbus doesn't do that the Boeing can do. It's probably the only area that the Boeing is superior to the Airbus, in that it will automatically track a VOR course. The Airbus doesn't. You have to do that manually. So if you put your VOR in, let's say I'm departing from, well, in fact, you know what, let's say I was departing from Zurich. Now I'm going to have to open my Navigraph charts here, aren't I, in order to get this working. So let me just pull up the charts for Zurich. That's the last flight we did yesterday. So just bear with me 1 second. So if I was doing a departure here, I have no idea which one. Let's just pick one. So if I was doing a Zurich departure, this isn't going to have a VOR here, is it? But basically, if the airport had a VOR, I would pop that into one of the RadNav pages. Let's just check the approach page. Sometimes the Jeppesen charts don't show VORs on the departure pages, but if I go to runway 14, yeah, I thought there was a VOR here. Look, there we go. It's the Clutton VOR. So if I was departing Zurich, then I would pop that in the RadNav page, Kilo Lima Oscar. So pop that in there. And the reason I do this a lot of the time is just for situational awareness. There we go, 1 mile away. So once that's done, I'd obviously turn VOR1 on. It's not going to work because I've not aligned the ATIS. Let's go up there and do that, shall we? And it's just so if we had an emergency and something went wrong on departure, I've got a very quick reference as to how far I am away from the airport that most likely I'm going to be wanting to return to. The other reason I would use VORs is for things such as the go-around procedures. So if we have a look at this, here's another one that I would put in. I'd put in the Zurich East. So if we were coming in to land on, which chart is this? Runway 14, and I had to go around. Well, the go-around tells us basically it's a left-hand turn, intercept the 231 radial inbound to Zurich East. So at which point I'd pop in the Zurich East into the VOR as I was coming into land, and I'd pop this course in as well. You'll have seen me do this in the live streams before, I'm sure. With the LS, that's the landing system. That's basically where your ILS frequency goes. That is automatically populated, or it should be, but I will always double check that it has been automatically populated, just in case it is a simulator. It can have bugs, so that's why I'm always checking the ILS frequency before we come in, and then checking on the charts, and then checking that it is shown in here as well. So that's basically it, and of course ADF for NDBs if I need those. Very, very rare I fill that in, just because well, there's not too many of them around or needed for navigation now, thanks to VORs and normal waypoints. Waffle and Mark Strauss, hello to you guys, hope you're well. Barry, when will we have holding functionality in the FlyByWire A320? Right, so it's getting close. That's all I can say. It is getting close, and if you've downloaded the experimental version, you may have seen that that option has become available in the flight plan page. You can actually press the hold button, and you will see that it is there, but not yet functioning. So not far off. Drini, you're let me make sure I'm not missing any questions out here. So Brian, is there an easy way to update a VMR file after it's been created with model matching? It allows me to generate a new one but not load the existing one. This may be a question for Nick. Brian, that is indeed a question for Nick, because I actually want to know the answer to this myself. I've got a great VMR file which is all worked out and beautiful, but it doesn't have the A330 in it since I've updated it, so I need a new one for that, and I don't want to go through and pimp it all out again, so it was all singing, all dancing and working. So if anyone knows how to answer mine and Brian's question, please do let me know. Spitfire RAF 100, good evening. Drini, your only question is whether my FPS got worse, better, or the same in this sim update. Do you mean the last sim update? I think it got marginally better. In fact, check out the video. I did a video comparison when the sim update came out, so that will be why. John Hicks, sorry, you should have said you're not using Microsoft Flight Simulator, you're using it for flight, so it may not be advanced. Right, okay, John. I would still check out the tutorial video, just because it covers the basics. There's also a very basic video of how to fly the A320 if you're brand new to it. So I think it's something like your first time in the A320. Check that out on the channel. Jitterbell, how do you get a go-around line on your flight plan? Not just the end of an airport. Right, so Cheetah Pal, in the real Airbus you have what is called a go-around track, and that is automatically loaded in. When you select, let's just bring the chart back up again. So if I selected the ILS runway 14 to land at Zurich, the moment I select that on the flight plan, it obviously has everything that you're used to seeing here in the simulator, but what it would also have at the end would be the go-around track automatically in the database, so that if you did have to do a go around, you'd obviously go toga, go through all the go around procedures, and you would automatically enter the GA track, at which point you could pop the autopilot on and the autopilot would fly the go around track because it's already in the flight computer for you. Sadly, at the moment, that is not the case in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so you still have to fly those manually, which is why sometimes you'll see on the live streams that I set this up on the fixers page, just so we've got everything there for us, and we know exactly what we need to do should anything go wrong. Roblox Gaming, I already answered that question. I'm not sure if I've been to Estonia or not. Maybe one day. Nick Burrows, Lufthansa 340, no models as yet for that. Is that what this thing's meant to be here? I'm surprised actually, because the A340 was brought out by, who was it? Was it the tallest A340 that brought out Unexplained, I think? Let's see. Dark Fury, will be using FS2Q's RARs at any time? Maybe. I think there's a lot of software I would like to use, like FS2 Crew, quite like that, but it's just another program that my PC has got to run while streaming and while having all sorts of other things open, and I just don't want to bombard the PC too much. If I wasn't streaming or anything like that and just flying offline for fun, then possibly, yeah. Carson Lou, when's VNAV coming out? I can't answer that question. It'll come out when the guys are good and ready. Robloxius Gaming, which is my most favourite airport? There's different answers to that. Most favourite in what sense? Most favourite to land at, most favourite to taxi at, most scenic approach. I think there's different answers to all of those. Teachers Leo, hey, does your weather request work in the ATSU menu? Yes, it does. So, for instance, if we jump in, let's just go McDo menu, ATSU AOC weather request, and we'll just do a request for what the real weather is here at Zurich, which is what? Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. Pop that in there, send that off, and give that a minute or so, and that should work fine. What else? What else do we got? Will A900, when you have your flight plan installed, after a few waypoints it says flight plan discontinuity and it doesn't appear on the flight plan screen. Right, okay, so flight plan discontinuity is just a gap between usually the SID, the standard instrument departure, and then the rest of your flight route. So if I was to pick a SID out of here, so what you might get is, if we were departing off this runway, then in your flight plan you might see Zurich 580, 569, 568, 501, then Mummel, Kugel 504, 525, then DGES, and then after DGES in your flight plan you'd have a flight plan discontinuity. What you need to do is you just need to go to your flight plan page, press the clear button, and then click on where it says flight plan discontinuity just there, and it will just clear it out and then join the rest of the flight plan up to your standard instrument departure. That should see you flying nice and on your way to your destination. If you don't clear that flight plan discontinuity and you reach it, then the aircraft will just enter heading mode and continue flying in a straight line until you run out of fuel. Land O'Lakes, will I be flying at the end of this video? No, not unless someone challenges me to do something daft. It's not going to be as long a stream tonight as I would have hoped for, so I apologise for that. I was bogged down by trying to sort out the VATSIM model matching, which, big thanks to Dark Fury and Nick for helping me sort that out. I can highly recommend a reinstall of VPilot and also emptying all your emptying the config file, the tick box at the start of VPilot when you're installing it that says do not tick this box unless there is something wrong. Well, there was something wrong, it wasn't working, and it's now working again, so that's good. LG Lambs, evening captain. Oh, sorry, Quaffle, do they have A340s? If you mean Lufthansa, yes, they do. Or they certainly did. I'm not sure if they do anymore. LG Lambs, evening captain, I don't know if it's already been asked or if you're allowed to answer. But have you ever flown to Geneva or anywhere else in Switzerland? Here in the simulator, absolutely. In fact, we've flown here. Very nice. Alright, Titius Leo, right, does anyone's weather request not work on the ATSU menu because mine says station not available? Right, you're asking for something slightly different. So what I showed you was a weather request. What I did there was I gave you the option to get the live METAR. So METAR, that's what the actual weather is right now. If I switched live weather on with temporary showers of rain. What you're talking about is the ATIS, I believe. So the ATIS, if I want to get the ATIS, Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel, and I put that in there, well, this should come and give me an ATIS. And the reason for that is because if I look on my VPilot connected to VATSIM, then ATIS is available, so that should work. However, if I pick a completely random airport, let's go Echo Golf Charlie November, my local airport, Doncaster, Sheffield, Robin Hood, God knows what else it's called, name. If I pop that in there, well, there are no VATSIM controllers currently at Doncaster Sheffield Airport, so that's going to come back and say no flight, no ATIS information available. The difference is that will only work when you have controllers there working at that airport. So if I now go to messages received, there you go, that's the ATIS for Zurich, and just to double check, yeah, D-ATIS not available, just because there's no controllers there providing any automatic terminal information service. So, Repluxia, which is my favourite airport to fly to? I really like Athens. That's probably one of my favourite routes. Manchester to Athens, probably one of my favourite routes. Nice scenic approach into Athens as well. Quavel, you're hearing Gavin get the VATSIM beeps of not enough liveries. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's why I wanted to add to the current VMR file that I had got, rather than having to use Nick's all singing and all dancing one, which has every livery under the sun under it. Otherwise, I'm just going to get beep, 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 beep every time there's a livery that doesn't recognise. Azuz, hello to you. I hope you're well. PJ the DJ, have I ever covered how to offset when avoiding weather? No, because that's not really too difficult. First thing, of course, if you're in ATC control, you need to advise ATC that you need to go right 20 degrees or 30 degrees. It's not usually too by too much, just for weather, and of course ATC will then say, yeah, that's fine. You can go right 20 or 30 degrees to go around a building cell, something like that, and then once you're clear of the weather, let ATC know, and they'll probably give you a direct to get you back on track. Cheetah Bell, where on SimBrief does it tell you performance takeoff speeds? It doesn't. You can't get that from SimBrief. That has to be your aircraft giving you that. Timothy King, I want to start on VATSIM. What happens to the stock ATC when you use VATSIM? I've just got it turned off, because you obviously don't want both, so you can turn that off and it's fine. VATSIM Pilot, since sim update 7, your FPS at handcrafted airports went from 30 to 50, and you have a GTX 1650 and fully optimized everything, but you can't get above 15. Any ideas? Sadly, VATSIM Pilot, I would have to recommend a full reinstall of the simulator. The only reason I say that is because update after update after update, chances are something's not going to be quite right. And a full install of the sim seems to be the way to go for lots of people, myself included. I'm on something like my third reinstall of the sim. So yeah, that's probably the best thing you can do, even though I know it's a pain because it takes so long to download. Callum says, hi, thanks for all you do for the community. I was wondering if you could tell me how to set your own custom views. You use mine for the fly-by-wire, but you'd like to set some for the Cessna. Callum, well, first of all, thank you, Callum, and thank you for being a channel member. The best thing to do, Callum, is find the video on the channel, which I think it was how to set custom views for the CRJ, and apply the same principle to your Cessna. Sim Miles, any idea when I can increase the sim rate to 4 in the fly-by-wire? It reduces time down to 2 after a few seconds or so with the autopilot on. Don't always have time to do a full flight, don't judge. Hey, no judging here, Sam. I'd love to do more transatlantic stuff, but I just don't have the time. So, as far as I'm aware, that's not on the cards from fly-by-wire. It's because the amount of processes going on for the aircraft is just, I think it's just too complicated to be done at double or quadruple the time. So, with the realism means you get the realistic times, I'm afraid. Alexander said, where do I get flex temps from? Right, so I normally have real-life flex temps performance calculator to hand as per using the real life. Obviously this isn't available to the public, but I do know, or certainly hope, there's a reliable one coming out very soon, so watch this space for that one. Nice little GA aircraft. MS, what are your PC specs? You have a mid-range GTX 1660 Ryzen 7 and have huge FPS drops after 1-2 hours in the air in the A320. So MS, this is a known issue with the A320. If you're talking about the fly-by-wire, they've now done some sort of debugging, if you like, and the experimental version doesn't seem to cause the same problems. My PC specs can be found on the About page of the channel. In fact, if someone wants to queue the Nightbot up, the Nightbot should also give you information on that as well. LA Kids 143, how do you select a degree of descent? Okay, let's have a look. So yeah, let's say we were doing an RNAV approach. Let's see if we've got any here. There we go. RNAV approach to runway 14. So we would want to set a 3-degree descent path from the Osnem waypoint just there. So how do we do that? How do we set 3 degrees flight path angle? We go into, let's just turn the brightness up. We press this little button here to take us into track and FPA mode, and then we wind this down here to 3 degrees, and then we would pull, and that would engage the 3 degree FPA. And if suddenly you realise you've made a mistake and you need to level off, just push to level off. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Esrimers, good evening to you. Hope you are well. Carson Lou, are they at least almost done with VNAV? I honestly don't know, Carson. I can't give you answers to stuff that I don't know. Christopher Fuller Simreef upload question. When uploading, sometimes you don't get the option to init request in orange, such as the flight number is missing or cost index, but other elements are present. You could always press the init request page again, or you can fill things out like the flight number and alternate, etc. You can fill those out manually. Nothing wrong with doing that. The weatherman tray you installed Aerosoft Simple Traffic, but it seems it broke your live weather. You wouldn't install it in live weather, came back again. No, weatherman, that just was really unfortunate timing. Live weather has been broken in Microsoft Flight Simulator over the last weekend. Back now though, thankfully, back now. So you can go ahead and get live traffic, get Aerosoft Simple Traffic reinstalled again. SRAMers, why is everyone bothered with VNAV? Got to do some flying and thinking. Well, this is true. VNAV is... how close is this aircraft getting? Oh, good lord. Crash, crash, crash. It's great plane spotting, isn't it, on VATSIM? So, yeah, VNAV, it's a great tool, but essentially, that's all it is. It is just a tool. It is nothing else. When anything is... when it's worked stuff out, you've still got to go ahead, you've still got to do your own sort of mental arithmetic and verify that it's all working right, etc. and things like that. Because, well, you never know, do you? Always worth checking and looking. If something seems a little bit off, well, it might be. And you know what? VNAV may tell you where the perfect place to start your top of descent is, but if ATC can't get you down there early, or they want you to descend earlier, you're back to square one. You still need to rely upon the tools at your disposal. John Hicks saying thanks to Nick for the advice. Go and check the tutorial videos out now. Thanks again. First time on the channel, spotting advice, and hope to chat to you again soon. John H. Oh, that would be great. John, I'll tell you what. Make sure you join us on the live streams where we do our real ops flights. I guarantee we'll answer a lot of the questions you may have just by watching what's going on in the flight deck as we go. Alpha, am I in the tower at VATSIM right now? Well, I'm sort of. I'm not controlling. I'm just being a geeky plane spotter, looking around. And I like Zurich. Zurich looks beautiful, doesn't it? Since the last World update. So this is now a handcrafted airport here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Air37, Happy New Year to you. Hope you're well. Quaffle, you just realised we're not actually flying. No, we're absolutely not flying. David Sanko, hello. Sorry, a little late. Not at all, David. Good to have you. And Ellis YT, hello to you as well. Flight Sim 101, am I a better tester for VATSIM's velocity? No, I'm not. I'll be honest with you, showing my ignorance here. I didn't even know that was coming out at any point soon. Now, I know there are potentially some issues with the altitude reporting because it's going to be much more accurate as well, isn't it? So we need to make sure Microsoft Flight Simulator and the altitude reporting is all good. We'll wait and see what happens with that. Repluxia, oh, this is a different question. Which is my favourite airport to fly from? Do you know, I don't know. I can't think of an airport that I don't like. No, I honestly can't think of an airport that I don't like in terms of flying from. Tell you one of the airports that really makes me think, particularly at the moment in the simulator, if you're doing it properly and doing an RNAV real ops approach to Nice runway 22 left, that one makes me think quite a bit, because that's not straightforward. Zombie MT, hi guys, I've noticed a small issue on your last flight you made a few days ago during the climb. The autopilot pitched up and down and was only getting about 100 FPF to 400 FPF force to the top of the climb. Probably need to know a little bit more about what was going on at that point, because the fact the autopilot's pitching up and down could suggest that they got a little bit of turbulence, maybe over the some mountainous terrain, something like that. But without actually seeing that zombie, I'm afraid it's a little bit difficult to answer that question. Jayhawk 2001, simple question: has the print button been sorted yet? Do you know what? That is a good question. I've been led to believe yes, it has, and you know what? We're not actually flying or doing anything, so should we give it a whirl? Let's see. Oh, hang on, wrong page. Let's print. I'll tell you what. Let's print this blooming long ATIS, shall we? Oh, well, no CTD there. That seems to be working fine. This is really neat, doing this on the tablet. I've not actually got the tablet up and running for tonight, but doing that on the tablet and seeing that that happen, that's that's just awesome, isn't it? Another little feature from FlyByWire. LSYT, how do you enter a hold in the A320X? Well, you can't do it automatically at the moment. You have to do it manually, which is usually 1 minute legs before flying the reciprocal of the hold value. Don't think we've done a tutorial video on manually flying holds, have we? We've obviously had to do them at some point during the live streams, but yeah, it's basically you fly outbound from the holding fix for 1 minute and then you turn back around and fly for another minute towards it again. That's about it. Duke Dan Gaming, quick question: when using the altimeter, how do we know if we should be using millibars, hectopascals? You know they're the same, but when do we use it? Each country has their own, so hang on, let me get into the flight deck again. So here in Europe, we're using the we use QNH hectopascals. In the USA, we use QNH in HG. So it's different countries have different settings. The only way to know, a little bit of local knowledge, and the ATIS will tell you. If you hear that QNH is 1013, then you know that you're probably not going to be setting that in HG. Matthias Fleeb, hello mate, hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. Peter R, you are by far the best Microsoft Flight Simulator streamer. Keep up the sterling work you do for this community. Peter, that's so kind of you to say. Many thanks, Peter. I'm glad you could come along tonight as well. I'm loving the fact that I can actually read out all of the comments and questions that I'm getting this evening, which is why I quite like to do this every so often. Dark Fury says, yeah, printer works. Excellent. S-Framers, in the new experimental fly-by-wire, when adding a sit or start, it now adds the final or initial waypoint twice. This is the same for me. Not a big deal, but you have to clear one. Yes, I discovered that the other day. Obviously, that is a bug. It doesn't happen in the real aircraft. But just be aware of it. Just goes to show the importance of checking through the flight plan, making sure everything is working correctly. Justin Whitechurch, is there a current issue with the autopilot? You created a flight with SimBrief and it installed into the McDo as normal, but autopilot, after the initial climb, decided not to do anything. I suggest something may not have been set up quite right there, Justin. If you ever get that to happen, take a screenshot and send it to me or onto our Discord server, then me or some of the other guys in there as well, who are quite knowledgeable about the A320, will be able to maybe point out something that might not have been set correctly and showing why it's not working. My most obvious guess would be that you'd got it all in managed mode and there were some constraints, or it was in selected mode, so it was just going to fly straight and level when the autopilot was engaged. Shabo 1973, welcome to the First Officers Club. Shabo, thank you very, very much for your support. I hope to see you in our Discord server if you're on there as well, get you into the members lounge, and of course on our real ops flights, which we will be doing. I'm hoping to do one tomorrow, actually. That would be quite neat if I can get one out tomorrow. Might be a daytime stream. Might be a daytime stream for anyone in Australia. You might not have to get up. You might not have to stay up quite so late if we get a daytime stream in tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, sometime. We'll see how that goes. J-Hog, cheers. Last time you tried print, it went bang. Oh, that doesn't sound like you, J-Hog, touching something and it going bang. So Roblox, your favourite airport is Echo Echo Tango November. That is not one I'm familiar with. I'm not sure if EasyJet fly to that. Possibly, I don't know. David, in the EFB for the auto brake calculator, does it calculate how much runway you need on that auto brake, or how much runway you will use on that auto brake? So I need to have a look at this now because it's a little bit different to how the real world one works. But oh, where's it gone? Right, okay. So basically, if we put in where are we? Zurich, Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel. I only do this and I only use this. I'll rarely use this in the live streams, and you may wonder why. I'll only use this if it's a short runway and it's raining or something like that, and I need to know, and we're very heavy. I need to know that I've got we're at a landing weight that I'm going to be safe landing at. So if we can just make this up. So wind direction. In fact, we don't need to make it up, do we? Hang on. If we go here, we should be able to get... Oh, actually, that's not going to work. Forgive me. So let's just go back to our landing calculator. So, what was the wind direction? In fact, just so I'm not faffing around, I've got my phone next to me, so I can quickly grab the weather for Zurich. So real world weather then, wind direction is 310 at 11 knots, temperature is 8, QNH is currently 1002, runway altitude, okay, let's go with runway, let's say we're landing on runway 14, was it? So 1402, there we go. Runway heading is... This is, again, where? 134. The real world calculator. You just type in runway 14 and it just gives you all of this stuff. Runway condition dry. Well, actually, in the real world, it's showery with rain. So we'll go with good. Runway slope. We're not going to bother with that. Landing distance available. So then you've got to find this as well. It's not on there. Landing distance available for runway 14. 14 is 3150. Approach speed, let's put in 130 knots. And the weight, let's put a good weight in there. Let's call it 61 tons. Flaps full, no overweight procedure, reverse thrust, no. And oh, actually, why did I do that? I could have just pressed the Get Metar button. There you are. And that's automatically popped in our current weight. Let's just put in 61 tons. And yeah, flaps full, overweight, no, reverse, no. And calculate. Why can't we calculate? Is that because we've not put the runway slope in? Just put 0 in there. There we go. Right, so that's telling you where you would currently stop. So if that says if you used low, you'd stop just there, 2612. Medium would be 2060, and if you use manual braking, it's there, 1991. So it gives you all of the information you require down here at the bottom, and obviously we've got plenty of landing distance available compared to those values there. So, hope that helped. Cattle 22, for anyone, you fly out of Kilo Oscar Romeo Fox a lot, but ATIS is never available in the same. Is that just the same, or just some airports not have ATIS? So the ATIS is only available if VATSIM air traffic controllers are currently staffing that airport. So if they're staffing the airport, they will have provided an ATIS. If they're not staffing the airport, then no ATIS is going to be available. Philippe, what MTLS am I using? Sorry, I'm not quite sure what that is. Regis, do I like to eat beans when I fly? No, because otherwise I spit them out down the microphone when I'm talking to you guys. Ellis YT, how would you enter the hold in the A320X, for example? The air traffic controller says, hold at Dane going into Manchester, what shall I do? Okay, yeah, that's quite probably a common instruction from ATC. So let's just have a look at the approach into Manchester. So what you would do, what's the star? The Dane 2 Alpha, not the Dane 2 Alpha, there we go. Yeah, so you're not allowed to go past Dane if you're not allowed to go past Dane without clearance from ATC. So what you would do then is, if once you got to Dane, you would turn back around and fly the reciprocal heading of 312, which is 132. Yeah, 132. So you would turn around, fly 132 degrees for 1 minute, and then you turn back around again and fly 312 degrees for another minute. Best to do this in track mode rather than heading mode, because obviously the wind could be coming in maybe from the west and end up slowly blowing you over here somewhere. So make sure you do that in track mode when you're doing a hold manually. So yeah, that's basically all you would do. You just fly 180 degrees away from the inbound track for a minute each time. Use the stopwatch, the timer, the chrono in the sim to do that. So I've just realised that was on there. I don't know that. Didn't realise that was on there. Apologies for that if that's been in the way. Development version starting in very little fuel and not allowing to increase. No, not true. You increase the fuel now using the flypad on the fuel page. There you go. Increase your fuel. I could load her up full right the way to the top. It will take 12 minutes. How do I know what the winds are? For example, how would you know if it's a headwind, tailwind, etc.? For example, 09002. Okay, so 09002 is just giving you the direction the wind's coming from and the speed. So if we were landing at Manchester's 23 right, just because I got this chart up, and that was the wind, Damien. So if we were landing Manchester 23 right, then the wind would be coming, it would be blowing 090, which is from the east. So it would be blowing this way, yeah, from the east to the west, 090, and at 2 degrees. So technically, that would be a very slight tailwind if we were coming in to land this way. If we were coming to land the opposite way on runway 05 left, and we were coming, which would be if the winds were 090, this would be the runway we're using, because that would then be coming from the east and blowing to the west. That would then make it a headwind if we were landing this way around. Hope that explains that well enough for you. Nick, you hate Athens, too many bridges. Yeah, Athens is great. PV9A1, where did the manual leg in last night's approach come from? Is it part of the star, or did you add it myself? No, it is part of the star. Luckily, I've got this up. So, if you were watching the stream last night, we got live ATC. We flew the approach all the way down here. I love watching these aircraft depart in the background. So we flew all the way down here, and then a visual or manual sector of flying is usually indicated by all these arrows, look. So after there, we're kind of on our own. We could either, if no ATC had been around, I would have then turned right and then right again to come in and land. But ATC was online, so they said continue on current heading after pressing the Nicara waypoint. So we just carried on until he told us to turn around and come back for traffic spacing. So that's basically why. Stuart, what do I use for AI traffic? So this is VATSIM. Everything you're seeing here is all VATSIM. So it's nice to know as well that real players are actually flying these aircraft. They may come back and find themselves we're live on this video a little bit later on. Dancing Tango circuits at lowest runway 26 is well worth it. Very scenic extreme one day. Not in an A320, it's not. Not doing any circuits in an A320 at Innsbruck. So LSYT answered that one. Danny, you tried to set your side tick for taxiing, it worked, but now when you turn your side stick a little bit, it does turn indeed as expected a little bit, but when you go further, it reverses it and goes the opposite direction. Danny, I have absolutely no idea what what's going on there. That might be something for our Discord server, Danny, if you can get yourself on there with a few screenshots. German Sim Pilot, thank you so much for subscribing. Would I recommend you to fly from Manchester to Athens? I would. It's one of my favourite flights, particularly on VATSIM, because you usually get quite a few ATC through on that flight. ASA 248, good evening. You've just joined the stream. Is it live on VATSIM? What's the airport? This is Zurich. Yep, we are live. We're just plane spotting here at Zurich while we do a Q&A section. Nice bit of nice background stuff to watch. Air Trooper 37 is the any release date for the A380? No, I'm afraid not. Okay, last 5 minutes or so, and then I'm really sorry. I am going to have to cut this short. But if you are enjoying this sort of thing, I will try and do more Q&A sessions because I do think that they are very beneficial, particularly to those of you that have got questions and have perhaps asked me during live streams. I've just not had chance to get to them. So. Yeah, I do apologise. We're going to have to finish in around 5 minutes or so. Barry, you're interested in views on DX12. When's the right time to pull the trigger? Oh, I would say definitely not yet. Even by Azobo's own admission, they say DX12 is still very experimental. D-Dog Creator, how did I do the EasyJet Sim Pilot Christmas A320X livery? I did not. Dark Fury is the man responsible for that. Big thank you to Dark Fury. I'm not in that today. Christmas has come and gone now, but we'll obviously have that for next year. Dark Fury, how intuitive is TCAS RA here in the sim? You mean? It's excellent. FlyByWire have really got this nailed spot on. And there's a whole procedure you've got to follow if you get a TCAS TARA. The calls you've got to make out, and you've got to obviously let ATC know that that is the case as well. Possibly a video we can do at some point. Gav, thank you very much for your $2 Australian dollar donation. Good. Thank you so much for that, and I know Gav, you supported us in the past as well, so really do appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. LA Kids 143, when do I use managed descent versus open descent? Right, well, at the moment I use open descent all the time. Managed descent really is for when VNAV starts to come in, so just open descent for now, and you control your rate of descent using speed or obviously VS. The biggest difference at the moment between managed descent and open descent is managed descent will respect the constraints, whereas open descent will not. But RL, thanks you for following on Twitch. Ahmed Ibrahim, after updating the last experimental, you had the issue after starting the engine and the throttle idle, suddenly both engines spooled up without touching anything. That sounds like you've got some sort of AI assist maybe turned on, or a key binding issue somewhere, so worth checking that out. Jan, what is the standard reserve fuel that we should have in the arrival airport and at an alternate airport? Okay, so that all depends on the flight that you're doing. You normally want to be looking to land at your normal arrival airport no less than 2 tons. Really, it starts to become a bit squeaky bum time. If not, then you've got a company normal reserve as well. If you start to drop below that, then poof, you're off to you need to divert because you're too low on fuel. I'm just trying to get through these before we have to finish up for the evening. Does anyone know if there's a solution to the controls freezing when you use the mouse to look around in the cockpit? Shabo 1973, I think that's just a frame rate issue. It happens, unfortunately, particularly at heavy airports with lots of traffic. Pisato, hello from the USA. Good to see you. Velux, how do I get VORs to free tuning? Do you mean sort of like in GA aircraft where you have the VOR on the needle and you can spin it around and your CDI comes into the center so you know which way to fly? Can't do that in the A320. Christian, have I ever used a real A320 simulator? Yes, I have. Quaffle, how often are holds on VATSIM? Just depends on how busy it is, I guess. But VATSIM staff are very, very good, so they obviously try not to do it if if possible. I'm skipping through some of these. I apologise if I'm not getting all of these. Chumi, you've been in the A350 today, yeah, with working VNAV. Indeed. Okay. Do I use Volanta? No, I don't. Again, the reason I don't use Volanta is just because it's another program that I would have to run in the background. I like to try and keep it. I like to keep it as clean as possible. There's already enough stuff going on for streaming. Is there a way to clear all the altitude constraints in one go? Yeah, use use open climb or open descent, then they can be ignored. Lander legs in other aircraft when TCAS warnings you disable the autopilot and follow the resolution. A320NX, do you need to disconnect autopilot? No, autopilot will do the conflict resolution for you. So if you leave the autopilot on, it will indeed do its job. But again, you need to know the correct FMA calls, making sure that you're in full control and know exactly what is happening with that. Right, guys, I am so sorry that this has been a shorter stream than planned. We've only been live for about an hour or so. I was looking to get much closer to 2 in. Blame Nick for the problems with model matching. No, don't really. It's always good fun to wind Nick up, though. So a big thank you to Dark Fury and Nick again for helping me sort out the model matching problems. We've now got that all working again, and who knows, if we see some nice Airbus A330s flying in, we'll get those as well. I'm just coming in for a bit of a look here. Is that a Qantas aircraft? What's that? JetBlue in green, and a Qantas Spirit of Australia, and what looks suspiciously like a 737 Qantas here in Zurich. Never mind. Right, guys, so sorry it has been short and sweet, but I will do more of these in the future, and hopefully we'll have a live stream tomorrow. So if you are new to the channel, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss those. And if you have enjoyed this, and as I say, want to see more of these kinds of streams, please hit that like button for me as well, and fingers crossed we'll get some more of these done where there's less flying and more teaching and explaining for those of you that want to learn a little bit more about the A320 and real world procedures, things like that. Thanks very much, everyone. Been great to have you on board for this stream, and hopefully see many of you tomorrow. Good night.